Alright, I'm finally caught up. Finally matched up with the episodes now. This is episode 21 of Arrow Season 4, Monument Point. Another good episode, I think. Not not a whole lot is happening during the episode. At the very end, there's something that just kind of sets up for the final two episodes very well. But yeah, the rest of this episode is kind of just we're building up to that final moment that ultimately causes some major issues. So you've got a lot of the build-up involves finding Felicity's father so he can help them out, and then Felicity getting fired from Palmer Tech just to make this more difficult. I was kind of disappointed with that. I was like, really? You're just going to throw that in there as like a little side note? Like, oh, I have to go to Palmer Tech to get this thing. But just to make things harder, now you're fired. So now you have to go steal the thing instead of just, oh, here it is. It just felt like it was forced in to make the plot that much more complicated. It really wasn't needed. Now, whether or not her being fired from Palmer Tech will come back later, I don't know. But I mean, just as far as her being fired, it felt like it was just another way to make this take longer than it really should, so we're down to the last minute. I like Thea's part of the story. We finally find out, I asked in my last review, why is she the one that gets taken to the safe haven? Turns out Malcolm Merlyn had something to do with that. Once again, saying it's all for her benefit, all for her. So convinces Damien Darhk to have her brought down to the safe haven. But then Anarchy shows up, which is pretty interesting. And he's causing some issues. She tries to talk him down. Malcolm Merlyn shows up, stops the talk, and then they have one final fight where Alex gets seriously injured, I think. She said Alex, and then checked his pulse, and then sighed, and then I'm so sorry. I don't know whether that means he's still alive or not. I'm guessing he is, because it seemed like it was a bad shock. I don't think that would kill you normally. But yeah, it's interesting to see that Thea is down there. And then as we're getting to the end, you've got Felicity and her father working to stop the nukes from launching. Meanwhile, Oliver and John and Lila and Argus are trying to stop H.I.V.E's men from coming in and stopping them. What ends up happening, unfortunately, is probably the most coincidental thing that could have happened. Oh, one second. Oh, it's late. I'm sorry. But the one thing that I've really enjoyed about this show is that it takes some risks. The very first season, there was actually some like the bad guys didn't technically win, but they got a minor victory, which is actually, it was probably a little bit more than minor. They set off one of those earthquake machines and ended up killing several hundred people. That's something you normally don't see in a superhero show, or movie for that matter. I mean, unless you're Man of Steel, then civilians die left and right. But you think about The Dark Knight, the only one that was for sure killed, well, obviously there were a few other people killed by the Joker, but, his girlfriend died, kind of girlfriend, and that was it. Obviously neglecting the few people that we saw Joker kill, but you think about his plan, nobody blew, like, his final plan, those two boats, nobody blew the other ship up. They both decided, no, we're not gonna take their lives into our hands. So even that was kind of a moment in a dark movie where it was very realistic. Even that was kind of like, we're still gonna keep civilians alive for the most part. We're still gonna have a bit of a win for humanity. And this show In the first season, it was the earthquake machine, killed several hundred people. That was kind of intense. Tommy was one of them. In the second season, Slade's super soldiers attacked the city and really did a lot of damage. In the third season, not as much damage. Only one of the three assassins that were trying to release that toxin, only one of them succeeded. And even then, the casualties were very minor. In this one, we've got a nuke headed towards, the center of the city. And even though, yes, that is a big deal, and what ends up happening is Felicity directs the nuke to a different city and ends up decimating that city instead, which, Lila says it was tens of thousands, but it could have been millions if it had landed at Monument Hill. It's still kind of like, really, the one nuke that you couldn't stop just happens to be headed right for your city. Come on. I don't mind the fact that, holy crap, they're responsible for the deaths of several hundred, couple tens of thousands of people. But at the same time, it just happens to be the one heading right towards your city. I don't know. It was very, very coincidental. I kind of figured whenever they're like, one nuke launch, I'm like, let me guess. It's headed right for them. Oh, it is. That's awesome. But it still does end up killing possibly several. This is really bad. I've never yawned this much. I'm really tired. It ends up being the death of several tens of thousands of people. And that leads into the final scene, which is ultimately, I don't know if it's going to be the final showdown. Probably not, because there's 2 episodes left. But Oliver and John find Damien Dark in his little sanctuary where he's building up his power, and you can just see the power coming off of the idol he has, and it's a lot. It is very, very much a lot. So it's kind of exciting to see. He's got a lot of power now. What you gonna do now? Because it's, Oliver did stop it the first time, but that was just kind of like a, okay, I'm powerful. Let me try to kill you. Oh, you stopped me. Now he's ultra powerful. I'm not so sure Oliver can stop him this time. But I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it. And, yeah, it's setting up for a very epic finale in 2 episodes. Cool. The other thing to talk about is something that they actually teased in the last episode, which is Tiana, however you say her name. She becomes... Oliver sort of hinted to this in the last one, and then we saw him having a flashback of several people dying, and we saw her with the glowing yellow eyes, and he sort of hinted that the idol changes people into something dark, like it changes who they are. So I was like, she's gonna end up changing, isn't she? And sure enough, she's the one that grabs the idol when Baron Ryder's attacking, and now she's got the yellow eyes. And I like what they're setting up here. It does set up very well. We've got Damien Dark using the idol to gain ultimate power. Meanwhile, in the flashbacks, we've got Tiana, who's now changing because of the idol, becoming darker. So I've said before how poor the connectivity was with the flashbacks this season. The flashbacks recently have been much better. They've connected very well. It does really fit in with the story. After they introduced the idol, finally, it finally fits in with the story. It's done a very good job since then, so it's very nice to see. I'm excited to see where that's going to go, what's going to happen to her. I feel like, based on what Oliver said, something bad's going to happen to her. But yeah, it's a good setup, and now I've actually got to wait for the next 2 episodes. I'm excited. It's got me entertained. It's got me excited for the next episode, and that's all I really want right now. I could point out the several flaws that not flaws, but several issues I have with this season so far. One of them is a lot of coincidence, but I think it's doing a good job of telling a story. It's not perfect by any means. The fact that this one nuke happens to be heading right to their city is very coincidental. It's very much just setting up for, oh, we're going to have to direct it elsewhere because if we don't, it's going to kill us. Um, but it's still a good setup. It still killed several thousand people, and now Dark is super powerful. So it still got its job done. I'm excited to see where they're going with it. So that's all I can say for this episode. Let me know what you thought of it down below. If there's anything I missed that you want to talk about, let me know. We can discuss it. Leave a like and subscribe for the final 2 episodes of Arrow, and I will see you at the next review. Peace out.